to the show. Iodine Kindle. How you do, sirs?
Good, brother. How are you? Excited about our first video, that's for sure.
Let's do it, man.
Good evening. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, brothers, for being here. So,
We've been talking about it for a while.
How do you guys want to move this thing? We a little bit of more serious stuff, a little bit of paranormal, a little maybe a touch of conspiracy if we can get past the censors.
Well, just the normal conversations we'd usually have, and try to share whatever information we have with all the viewers over the years that we've collected and gathered together.
Yeah, I've known both you guys for years and years now, huh?
Done a lot between the three of us. There's been a lot of research done, a lot of data collected, so I'm confident that we have a lot to share and a lot to give to the community.
Well, I guess we're all kind of, would be out in the open, we're all kind of Christian background, even though we don't necessarily jive with what's everything going on with the church nowadays.
Well, I think there's a big difference between what we believe in general churchianity too.
Right. Whether it's Catholic, Protestant, whatever else, I guess a lot of the church has moved away from some of the truer stuff and tried to avoid the UFO topic in a lot of ways, or even things like near-death experiences. Like a lot of them, I just kind of, the church hasn't been talking about it for centuries. They just, sweep it under the rug. Or
well, I don't see there being any problem with. I don't like near-death experiences and UFOs and shadow people and all sorts of topics can be understood using a biblical lens. They don't have to be hidden from the congregations, They're not the most important things in Christianity, but they certainly don't, disprove Christianity. There's no reason to be fearful of these topics. I think that's why a lot of people turn away from the faith, because they feel like, the faith can't stand up to certain, topics like that. So I hope that's one thing we can do, is show people that, you can have an interest in all sorts of various topics and still be a Christian.
And who was less of a stick in the mud than Christ was himself, If he was even accused of being a wine bibber, hung out with women, like single women at a time where that wasn't acceptable, maybe. What do you think?
The religious ilk of his age couldn't stand him. In fact, they had him crucified. All the holy rollers back then, they couldn't take it.
You want a similar page over there, Iodine?
Yeah, I like to interpret supernatural things through a biblical lens. I think it's the best explanation, frankly.
Right. And it's pretty cool how all three of us brothers kind of came from a different background. Should we each kind of talk a little bit about our background?
Well, yeah, I think if you don't mind starting it off, because you were an actual atheist at one point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was. Society kind of raises people to be non-theist, I think. So pretty common to be non-theist. If you go through the normal schooling system, you're just kind of taught that it's not true. So it wasn't until I had some people who actually were able to teach it to me in the right way that I started picking it up.
Creator be
I mean,
praised.
don't want to go through too much
You
of the.
kind of lived life, and you were like, yeah, there's more to this than just materialistic, way that they had tried to raise you up through the school system.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just started becoming more and more obvious.
Didn't you
Or
actually
just
come across a lot of evidence for the devil, and that kind of opened your eyes to the light too?
Well, yeah, that's part of it too. Is I started studying politics and business and history and stuff like that, and seeing a lot of evidence for the devil or something similar in world history. Kind of opened my eyes to the fact that there might be a supernatural reality going on.
Right. I was raised in kind of a, I guess you could call it a new agey kind of family, like into some Native American Eastern philosophy, the stores with all the crystals type thing. Went out west to the Four Corners area as a kid. Then I lost my old man at age 10, and I even got into like the occult, witchcraft, fairies, energy manipulation, Ouija board, to the extent that I was even talking to it with just my hand by myself for yes and no answers, left, yes, right, no. And so I came across a lot of evidence for the supernatural when I was in that world. Like I remember seeing a witch like show me and my friend like this fairy fly out of a tree that she stuck her, or a little plant that she stuck her witch's dagger to. And just remember being able to make like energy balls, almost like a Dragon Ball Z kind of way, really, even though it's not like, I'm not going to shoot a kamikaze missile into Krillin and knock him off
one
his
of
game,
those
maybe. But
fireballs that Ryu shoots from Street Fighter.
no, but you
You're
can
not
make.
gonna
I might
Hadouken
not
one
do
of
no
your
Ryu,
enemies.
but you can like mess up a phone, like if you stick it like a cordless phone in the energy ball and like hear scratchy noise, maybe. But anyways, so I got to the point later in high school where I didn't feel satisfied, even though I felt like there was more to this world, and I felt like there was, the spirit, the supernatural, and I just wanted to search religion in general. Started reading through a Bible, kind of having plans to read through multiple religions, I guess, and then guess
What about
that's when I
reading the
got to you.
Bible made you what was like the aha moment or the eureka? Like you were like, wow, this is actually true,
Well, it
or
might have hit my soul just deep down in a way that's hard to explain. But besides that, like all these long genealogies, and then you have these like the superheroes, like the guy who's supposed to be like the big religious guy. One of them, for instance, gets drunk and is exposed to his son naked, and um, you get to King David and what he did with Bathsheba and Solomon, and these were flawed guys. Maybe if you're
all the
just
stories they don't tell you at church, right?
right, and if you're gonna make up a religion to have all these people just obey you, pay their tithes, and move along, why are you gonna make up all these character flaws and these guys that they're supposed to be treating as saintly type people or their main dudes?
Well, I guess that's what New Testament scholars they argue that why was it women that found the tomb was empty? If that was written, it should have been men
First
who
century,
found
were they not even like,
right.
I heard talk before, like women weren't even as counted as a normal witness. They were like by the orthodoxy. I might be wrong on that, but yeah, good point, man. Like it's just the creator, not just him. Once again, just using
Like
his sense of
wouldn't
humor and wit to get things done. What's that?
no, I was just gonna say if I was making up a story as a first century Jew, I would have said, well, Peter and the apostles found him, not the women of the group. It would have been or something along those lines anyway.
Right. Like if they wanted to impress the Sanhedrin, the Pharisees and Sadducees, why wouldn't they say, yeah, it was our most sober-minded man, instead of these women that found the tomb empty first?
I think a lot of the Old Testament prophecies that have been clearly fulfilled, I think that was a big deal in my journey anyway. I mean, I have the least interesting story of all of us. I was just born a Catholic and raised a Catholic. I was always a believer, so it wasn't like a moment of conversion for me, really.
You guys notice I had my little video picture change here one more time? I keep on hitting the X button. I guess I might as well switch to another picture here, even though I wasn't going to. Don't you just love creation, man? Like, think of all the possibilities just thinking of fantasy artwork and stuff. This might just be a speck at the beginning of eternity, brothers, you know? Like, who knows what adventures are in store if we're blessed with the
Well, I always like to
opportunity to do that.
say eternity doesn't start after death. Eternity starts the moment you're created. And this is just one stage of eternity that we're going through right now.
It's a nice point, bro. So what are you thinking, Iodine? You might normally be one of the most talkative brothers out there. A really intelligent brother.
I mean, think what about eternity?
Well, just in general. What you thinking, man?
Yeah, it's I like to get on here and study deep subjects with you guys and with people in general. I like doing those word studies. I like finding out that things like the genealogies in the Bible, they're not just words for the sake of words. I like finding out that there's information hidden in there and that it actually means something, and all that
Well,
has meant a lot to me.
one of the most mind-blowing genealogies is from Adam to Noah, where it basically spells out the gospel.
Yeah, exactly. That means a lot. That discovery meant a lot to me.
Yeah, I appreciate how much of a scientific-minded brother Iodine is. With how he likes to see the math, I guess. What's that? What'd you tell me
Yeah, it
about the
helps me
Genesis?
believe.
What'd you tell me about Genesis chapter 1 and John chapter 1? Isn't it pi and phi that were encoded in there
Yeah,
or something like that?
they have a mathematical formula in Genesis 1:1 and John 1:1 that reveals. I believe it reveals pi in Genesis and phi in John. If you run them through the same formula, even though one's in Hebrew and one's in Greek. Now you don't need that to understand what the verse is saying, but that's what makes it so interesting to me. Is that there's this
Well,
extra information.
it's so layered. Like it could mean one verse could mean so many different things, or teach so many different things.
Even in our own lives, man. Don't you guys feel like there's foreshadowing, character development, like plot? Like, how could anybody not think that it's just all random? There's too much. It's too much storyline.
It
Something.
definitely, maybe even like a scripted movie in a way.
Yeah. So yeah, what some topics that we're gonna go through. I guess some more traditional Christian themed, but then we also hit time travel, the Mandela effect, near death experiences, simulation theory related stuff. It's also cool just how we have such different backgrounds, so we can kind of check each other about different things. Like, we might have butted heads a little bit about where the authority of the Catholic Church is today and about reincarnation and just various things. Should we?
But they're all good topics to go over, and I've even said myself there are a lot of questionable things happening at the Vatican. I don't want to get too into it tonight, but I guess I guess you kind of like call me like half a Catholic in a way because I don't throw out any of the other stuff out the window that might be not just Catholics but most Christians I feel are uncomfortable with UFO topics or time traveling topics or things that just aren't general Christian conversation.
Well, how about Malachi Martin? If he basically was an advisor to like some of the highest people in the church, and he believed in UFOs, I guess.
Well, that one cardinal said that he would baptize an alien.
See, that might be. I wonder if that's part of the conditioning, because like we're get on to future episodes. I think this whole UFO phenomenon could be part of a coming deception. I could get more real before it dies out.
I mean, what's the deal with
Being ready
the
to baptize an alien seems like a little premature, you know, like no one's really asking for that, right? Like, hey, are you guys ready?
I wonder who the godparents would be. Because you gotta have two godparents if you get baptized as a Catholic. I mean, who would they choose?
Seems like it's going to be part of the structure in the future is integrating this alien thing into the church somehow.
Well, I definitely think it's part of what the church calls the end times and the great deception. They'll definitely play a part, and we'll definitely get into that deeper in later episodes. But
Yeah, why don't we take some audience requests in the comments if we can about what we should start tackling early on, you know? I want to touch on the Great
well,
Pyramid pretty early because I think that says a lot, and it's not, you know, it's pretty, it's not your typical Sunday church topic. I think it's like a witness in stone that's going to reveal a whole lot once we really dive into it. I guess it will.
and I don't necessarily blame them at church because the way that it was told to me when I asked people at my church, well, why don't we talk about these certain things? And the typical answer I got was, well, we come to church to worship. You want to get deep into the faith, then you got to come to Bible study or read your Bible. But the actual act of going to church is an act of worship and not studying.
Well, even in Bible study, how many times do they really address the UFO phenomenon and the Great Pyramid? I think
I've never heard of it.
the scripture might actually reference not only alien and UFO related stuff, but also the Great Pyramid, and also other things, quantum physics. Where does immortality fit into everything? Are we gonna have bulletproof skin, and or are we gonna is quantum immortality gonna play a role with the multiverse type stuff? I guess those are topics we can dive into later.
Well, what I don't get about quantum immortality is, all right, so I'm walking down the street and a piano falls out of a third story building and kills me. All right. And then two timelines break off, one where I died and one where it barely missed me. So then in the next timeline, I'm walking down the street and then I just carry on to live. But at some point, it would have to end because
What if
then you'd be avoiding death all the way up until you were like 2 billion years old.
what if he has every single possibility mapped out from all of our free wills interacting together, and he just sends your consciousness up the one that avoids it? I'm just speculating, and I'm not sure that's how immortality would work. Psalm 91 might act like you can walk through the battlefield and thousands could die around you with you surviving when you're in the shadow of the Most High, or something like that. So, how does it all work together?
I also have a hard time understanding how, if there's multiple versions of me and only one soul controlling them all, but that one soul doesn't know about the other body, like, I don't know. I'm not sure how it all works out. Hopefully, we can get a guest on someday that can explain it to where I could understand it finally.
So you gonna be the the brother in charge of some interviews. Maybe get some open line calls too. Eventually.
Well, I definitely want to do some interviews, and the open line thing sounds pretty cool. I'd like to do an Art Bell style where we just, let people on. We don't screen or nothing.
Well, let's do it, man. I'm guess you can say I'm pretty pumped to get on here with you guys and actual tackle some topics here coming up.
It would just be great to become, a place where, knowledge is given and ideas are tossed around and a place of true study. Not like today's universities or other places that are just completely biased towards, how they think. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, nowadays, mainstream science is like the religion of the day in a way. If you question it,
It's
watch out.
called scientism. It is an actual religion that requires faith in a lot of different fields, but it's definitely a religion in a lot of regards
You
with
know,
its own
you know what though? I,
theology.
I think with a lot of this recent stuff with COVID mask, COVID mandate, this and that, a lot of people are kind of opening their eyes to maybe they're not all that they say, all it's chopped up to be. Well, we wait. Use common sense, not just believe everything we want to believe because it feels good. But we weigh the evidence and go from there. But
Well, mainstream scientists have never really been fully right about anything. They've always been wrong about something.
it'd always be good to be humble. Anyway, you guys got anything else to say? Maybe we can wrap it up and get an actual topic show here going here pretty soon.
I think it'll be easier once we have a topic.
All right.
Yeah. Well,
Thanks
I'm
for
happy we got it done, though.
thanks for being here, brothers. Let's do it again
No,
soon.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Take care.
Take care.